everyone should still be able to record, but if you're not, let me know, and we'll go ahead and get started once we get a few questions in the chat. We'll start off with Helene St. James from the Detroit Free Press. Helene, you might be on mute.
Jeff, hi. Can you hear me okay?
Hi.
Yeah.
I got you.
Bobby Ryan raved about Dylan Larkin's competitiveness and also shared a nice little story about how he told him he was going to go golfing by himself, and Larkin went with him along with Bertuzzi and Fabry. How important is it to have that in a young player, especially one who, I mean, it's such a big part of why Larkin has emerged as one of the leaders on the team?
Yeah, I think I've talked about Dylan lots over my 5 years that I've coached him in multiple situations, actually dating back probably 6 years ago, the American League at the end of his time. I mean, Dylan's a great person, and he's got great attributes that the winners always have. He's highly competitive every day. He works extraordinarily hard. He's got that inner drive that it takes for to be elite at any level. And then he's just a really, really good person. And I think we're, lucky, or I've been lucky that I've coached a lot of real good people. I think we got a lot of real good people. I think Bobby Ryan's another one. And so it doesn't surprise me that, that Bobby would say good things about Larks in those areas, because that's who Larks is. And I think Bobby would appreciate, Larks' approach and the type of person Larks is.
And then just his going golfing with him, at a time when most people have been working from home and Bobby's coming to a new team and it's going to be a short season, just to have that kind of camaraderie established as quickly as possible.
And that's a difficult thing. We've talked a lot about it. I mean, you're balancing, trying to be as safe as we can with trying to create camaraderie, and that's not an easy balance. And so I think, the fact that Bobby chose to come up here early, dating back, I don't remember exactly the date, but, he's been in Detroit for a while, I think will help him gel with his teammates quickly, and I think that's a real positive thing. I think, the fact that those guys were able to do things like go golfing outside where it's safer and do those types of things before our season got started means there can be chemistry and just friendships and the type of camaraderie you need out of teammates. So I think that's great. And that's probably big props to Bobby for making a commitment to come here early.
Thank you.
Our next question is Ted Colfin with the Detroit News.
Jeff, how did it feel today out there? I mean, was there a sense of jitters or just anticipation?
Well, it's I haven't done it for 10 months, so I'm sure our players are in the similar boat. Like, it's probably all those things, Ted. Like, it's like anything else in life when you don't do it for a long time, and you got to kind of get back at it. It actually was great, to be honest with you. I would say this break has given me a newfound appreciation to really enjoy the journey of it. And, you want things to be exactly right and you still keep your focus ultra high, but just, let's enjoy it, and let's enjoy trying to help these guys get better as individuals and as a team. And so I think, I'm just, again, I think if anything that the break and the long break that we had gave me was just further perspective to make sure that we enjoy the journey of it.
How important are the 3 scrimmages going to be, and how are you guys going to go about this? Are you going to focus on a particular part of the game each day, or what's the basis of that going to be like?
Yeah, into camp, these first 4 days, we'll implement different parts of our systems with some I would say, big picture things being implemented every single day. The approach that we take and how we want to play, and then we'll have those 3 scrimmages. We're trying to evaluate these practices and as best we can, but they're hard to evaluate, and they're not the same as evaluating games. Again, we're serving 2 purposes here. We're trying to get our team as ready as possible for game 1 against Carolina, and we're trying to figure out who's going to earn what ice time, who's going to earn spots on the team, who's going to earn spots in the taxi squad. So, those are 2 different kind of purposes that we got to keep working through, get our group as ready as we can, and keep, monitoring and evaluating every time they're on the ice.
Jeff, do you have a set roster in your mind, and it's maybe up to the guys to bump some guys out of that, or are there some open spots out there?
Ted, can you repeat? I got some background noise.
Do you have a set roster in your mind, Jeff? And if you do, is it up to certain guys to beat those guys out? And I don't know, I mean, as far as that goes, how difficult is it going to be for some guys to earn roster spots like that?
Well, let's start with this. It's been 10 months since we've played. So, I don't think, obviously it's a long time since I've seen these guys in any kind of action, whether it be practice action or game type action. So I'm going to say anything set in stone right now would be a disservice to the work that guys put into over the last 10 months. And, some guys may have gotten way better over those 10 months. And so we've got to have our eyes wide open every day in practice here and see which guys look great. And I don't have to make any decisions on that until the end of camp. So I'm not going to until I have all the information I can at that time. And that's from watching these guys. Certainly, your body of work plays into it, meaning what you've done up till this point, whether it's in the NHL, in the American League, in junior, whatever that might be, your body of work plays into it. But ultimately, we got to just keep watching and seeing which guys are going to give us the best chance to be a successful team. And again, to say anything set would be a disservice to the work that a bunch of guys put in.
Sounds good. Thanks, Jeff.
Our next question is from Max Boltman with The Athletic.
Hey, Jeff, I was just curious, when you are making those decisions, how much of it is going to kind of come down to those scrimmages? I imagine maybe a little more kind of translatable stuff to look at versus drills.
Yeah, there's no doubt that the scrimmages are going to be valuable pieces of it. And, we'd love to have exhibition games. I get why we don't, but we'd love to just to get as real action as possible. We're going to try to make the scrimmages as real as we can. And those are going to be, a big part of our evaluation process for certain. The biggest piece probably. Now, also body of work matters, so what you've done up till now matters too. And so we'll take it all into account. The day-by-day practices, though, again, we're going to try to rate these guys after every practice so that as a coaching staff, we can just see trends. If guys are getting rated real high every day or real poor every day, it gives us a chance to kind of see where they're performing. And then we do play a number of small games in practice too. And those aren't real games. I get that, but it does allow guys, instead of just running drills, to put them in settings to make plays, to make offensive plays, to make defensive plays. And you can see which guys contribute to winning those games. So we'll do that as well, and we'll evaluate all of it.
And then not so much for the sake of evaluation, but just in terms of how they were moving. What did you think of how DeKaiser and Svechnikov looked? I know Svechnikov talked a lot about, the work he put in this offseason trying to get his conditioning up.
Well, I think, I think it was a hard practice. And I thought, especially for the D, there was only 60 in each group, and that can be hard. And I thought Danny was moving pretty good. I talked to him after. He felt confident. I think that's probably the most important thing, is how he feels within his own body. And so he felt pretty good. And I thought Svech looked good. Svech and I had a conversation last spring about just continuing to increase his endurance capacity. And he's got a big, big body, and he works hard. And Svech wants to do everything possible to be a real good player. And he's worked really hard. And I recognize that. And I thought, again, I thought he was moving pretty good.
Thank you.
Our next question is from Ansar Khan with MLive.
Yeah, hi, Jeff. Can you speak just to the importance of having a healthy DeKaiser in this lineup? And are you still kind of tinkering with the D pairs, or are you looking to maybe start him with Hronek and also to use him on the power play?
Well, first off, a healthy DeKaiser is a huge thing for us. He's been one of our top D over the last number of years. He has been in this organization for a while now, since he's been in the organization. He's a guy who can eat minutes, play against the other team's best players, break you out of your zone so you have the puck way more, so you don't have to defend nearly as much. He can add offense by jumping in the play on the rush. He has spent time on the power play dating back a while ago, but he's a capable power play player as well. So, I think having a healthy DeKaiser is a big piece to us being able to have success. And so, certainly encouraged that he's out there today and that he's moving and that he's starting to really feel good We don't have anything set in stone with our deep pairs, just like I talked about. I think it would be a disservice to the work everybody put in. But, I know that when DK and Phil Hronek have played together, they've had some chemistry. They've done a good job together, and they're two of our best D, and would expect them to get a good amount of minutes as we get, into the season. Now, to start the year, I'm going to be cautious with Danny's minutes just because of the fact that, as we get through every day in practice here and get into the beginning of the season, just ease him in a little bit. But, Danny's competing for a power play spot. He got some looks at that today. Certainly would be a penalty killer and a guy who would go out and play against the best. And potentially that's with Phil Hronek. But we'll have to look and see where everybody's at.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Our next question is from Ken Kell with the Red Wings Radio Network.
Jeff, Happy New Year to you. Good to talk to you again. Good to have hockey back. What can you tell us about goaltender Kevin Boyle, and what are his strengths, and how do you plan to use him?
Well, Ken, Happy New Year, first of all. I miss seeing you on a day-to-day basis, so it's good to have you. Good to have you here and listen, or at least hear you. Actually, it's better to hear you than to see you, so it's good, Ken.
I'm a radio guy, so
yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. Kevin, I know that. Our goaltending group really liked him, thinks that he can come in and push for that 3 spot. Obviously, Calvin Picard will compete for that spot as well. And, ultimately we want to make sure that we have as much depth as we can in our organization at every position. And so, I think he's a guy who's going to come in and compete for it. And, Kevin, everybody's been in different situations in terms of how much they were able to skate. Whether they were able to skate in groups or just with individuals. And I know, the last month or so, it was hard for Kevin to get tons of ice. So once he got here, he started to get into the groove of being skating with a team and in a real practice setting. And I thought today was the best day that he's had. Speaking to our goalie coaches, Jeff Saleko, and just I think it was probably the best day in terms of how he's felt speaking to the players. So that's a positive thing, and hopefully he can keep moving forward and building on that.
All right, thanks, Jeff.
Yeah.
Our next question is from Art Regner with DetroitRedWings.com.
Hi there, Jeff. I also wish you a happy new year today. Follow me on this question because it's more of a philosophical or your approach to this season. I know sports is fluid, but yet your itinerary, everything is meticulous. Everything is planned out. However, going into this season, do you have more of a plan A, B, C, D, and E? Because the lineup that is for the Red Wings on January 14th could be completely different by the end of the month based on what we're facing.
Yeah. Well, I think even heading into this restart, we knew that once we got information, it was going to go from 0 to 100 fast. And so we tried to have a number of plans in place that we could implement depending on what the parameters were. And the parameters are never exactly what you think they're going to be. And so we've had to, make some adjustments, and it'll be the same thing through the season, whether it's plans and like you talk about certainly with lineup and players, that's going to be fluid. And I believe we're going to have to depend on more players than a normal season, based on the number of games we play in a tight time frame, and also just in obviously COVID. So I hope that's not the case. I hope everybody stays healthy and we're able to avoid any situations that way, but we got to be prepared for it. The biggest thing I'd say, I've coached a number of teams at the World Championships in Europe, and I think what that lesson gives you is nothing's ever going to go totally the way you expect it to. It's certainly never when you're overseas exactly like you expect in the NHL and where the schedules is regimented, and you got to roll with the punches. And, I've used that phrase to every team I've taken over there, and I've used that phrase with these guys. Like, that's just the reality of it as we go through the season. We'll take what comes our way, and we'll make the best decisions we can as we move forward. And we're going to enjoy ourselves while we do it. And we're going to go out and try to get better every day.
The taxi squad, have you figured out how you're going to use that? I mean, essentially they can't play in games, but are they partaking? Are they essentially part of the team, I guess is what I'm asking.
What I'd say about the taxi squad is, no, I figured it out in totality. No, I think there's a lot of unknowns still, including the American League season. You know, what is going to happen in terms of the American League season, what teams are going to play, what teams aren't. I don't think all that information's out yet. So we'll wait and see where that all goes, and that'll potentially affect our taxi squad. What I do believe is that the players that are on the taxi squad are going to be vitally important, and that we're going to walk into a building someday and someone's going to not be able to play for protocol reasons, and we're going to need those taxi squad players to be ready to play and jump in and help us win. And so, you know, I think that's the same as what you'd have if you were calling guys up from the American League, but with the factors in play this year, with how quickly you can go from having a player available to not having a player available. I think the taxi squad's a valuable thing. And I think we got to make sure those guys are guys who can help us win games and are ready to step in at a moment's notice.
Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Our last question today will be Daniela Bruce from Red Wings TV.
Hi, Jeff. I guess if I'm following Art and Ken, I definitely have to say Happy New Year.
Yeah, same.
Thanks for doing this. And my question for you really is just about the physicality that is really the NHL and the whole league. And you guys are playing some really tough teams in your division, and not being able to play exhibition games. You really have only those scrimmages to depend on. So really getting up to par when it comes to physicality and fatigue, is that a concern of yours? And how are things going to look different when it comes to preparing in this training camp than compared to a normal season?
Well, the training camp's going to be different. I'll start with that. You know, the training camp's going to be different just in the sense that, you know, usually you have a 3-week stretch, including exhibition games, to get yourself ready. And now it's a 2-week more, you know, a quicker ramp up to be as ready as you can be without exhibition games. Certainly, you know, you have a balance of guys in practice, not having guys get hurt, but also getting them ready for that real action. And so, you know, that's why we play a number of the small games that we play. You know, we put them in tighter areas with different parameters to try to train guys to help them in their instincts, in their habits, and in all those different tight situations. The game of hockey is extremely fluid. You have to be able to read and react. And so we try to put them in those read and react situations. And also you're in tight areas. And so there's physicality and physical battles you got to win. And as we go through camp, we'll ramp that up a little bit so that when we get to game 1 on the 14th against Carolina, our guys are used to being used to the rigors of what an NHL game is like, and the best we can. You know, we'd love to have exhibition games to be able to do that, but we're all in the same boat. So we got to make sure our practices are really good and important. We got to make sure our scrimmages are really good and important, and they will be.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks everyone. That's our last media availability session for today. We'll see you all again tomorrow.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
Jeff.